Welcome to our usual hovers. I'm Meeka Nomicon, and today I'm playing for the game Snow White Ashes, which is by the same developers It Paints Me. One winter's night, we come across a hunter in the woods who seems gentle and kind. However, we should really remember that appearances can be deceiving. I walk through an ashen wood, alone. Frozen earth crunches, crack beneath my feet. Fat blurry snowflakes fly by, aglow with the moon's bright light. I could never truly be lost, not on a night like this, when she shines so round and full, gazing down from the winter sky above. Still, I'd best look like I am. I meander through ashen trails, between the birches, silver girths striped with dark, around the trunks of pine that breach the sky, boughs buried with snow. I walk between the shadows, slip through pools of light and dark, as if I have somewhere to be, but no knowledge of what path might take me to it. All the while, I wrap myself in a cape of red wool, pulling its rough-spun fabric and fine needlework tight about my shoulders. My hands I rest inside thick sheepskin gloves. Even with the snow and the mountain air in my face, the thrill of the hunt keeps the bite of cold at bay. My heart beats with an unfamiliar feeling, a pounding, jittering rhythm. I shiver with excitement. I hope whatever's out there mistakes it for fear. Oh, maybe I'm the hunter after all. I sink my hands deep into the pockets of my skirts, running my gloved fingers along the edge of a deadly, sharpened point I carry. In a strange way, it feels more totem than weapon. I suppose I seek no ordinary prey. I almost smile, like my quarry. How strange to think that I, too, might hide my fangs. Wait, so am I actually hunting the hunter? And so I wander on, trembling like a newborn lamb. I wonder how the beast might appear. Would it call out to me, in a voice nectar sweet, promising shelter? Would it lure me to its mountain lair, whispering honeyed words, as it led me to a place where no screams can echo? Would it stalk me patiently, waiting for the moment I collapsed, cold, exhausted in the snow? As I wander and wonder, I find myself growing impatient. The cause of my shaking turns from thrill to frost. When would it appear? Would it appear? Am I not the image of the perfect prey? Well, if we want to make ourselves even more enticing, we could always just, slice our hand open or something. I mean, predators are usually attracted to blood. What did this hunter do, though? I mean, the amount of effort we're going in to hunt him down, I reckon he must have, murdered our best friend or our sister or something. I'm running out of time. No, such fixations are a luxury I can't indulge in. I cannot rush this. I need my mind clear. Surely, there is some way of drawing its attention to me until it can no longer look away. I feel in my pockets for the small, sharp knife I use to whittle my weapon to its deadly point. What simpler way to entice a beast than with iron freshly drawn? But did I need to go that far? Perhaps it was not flesh it was hungry for. Perhaps I simply needed to call out to it. Well, my initial response was to draw blood, so I feel like I need to dedicate myself to that path. Also, I don't reckon we're hunting a human. It's just the things we've known so far. I mean, sure, I think it's gonna be humanoid, but the fact we want to attract him with iron, so blood, and the knife isn't our weapon. We use the knife to whittle our weapon. So what, have we got like a stake or something? I reckon we're hunting a vampire. Anyway, time to draw some blood. I really hope this vampire isn't too hungry. I draw the short knife from its sheath and roll up my sleeve. Without hesitation, I press the blade against the back of my forearm, watching as a thin line of crimson blossoms against my skin. The pain that comes as a sensation I'd long forgotten. I almost cry out in surprise. Hastily, I take a long ribbon from my hair and wrap it tightly around the fresh wound. Well, Toby wanted to let it bleed for like a minute. Leave a little bit of a trail of blood for him to follow. Really get his enticement going. Red against red, it entwines around my arm, like the bark around the birch's trunk, like the skin of an apple peeled away with a knife. A sudden sound echoes from the distance, shaking me from my thoughts. I turn. No longer do I hear the wind through the trees, the hooting of an owl, or the scurrying of a squirrel. It is as if the world has gone completely silent and still, save for a pair of carefully approaching footsteps. It is seconds longer before I see it, a pinprick of light in the distance, a blur of white like the snow swirling around me. Gradually, it comes closer, blinking, flickering, bright. All the while I stay still, so still, like my heart has forgotten its beat. Closer it draws, closer still, until finally I make out its face, framed in white, lock eyes with it. With him. I can't move or turn away. I can't even breathe. That eye stares back at me with so deep a green. "Are you lost?" he says, and like a spell broken, I shake out of my daze, the wind and the sound of the night roaring in my ears. His voice cuts through it all, clear as a bell. "Are you hurt?" "Why, could you smell the blood?" The figure wears the skin of a man. A skin so impossibly fair it reminds me of the broken statue of an angel I once saw in a ruined castle, the surface of its marble pallor cold as ice when I brushed it with my fingertips. How flawlessly smooth, how otherworldly, that lonely thing left behind in a place of broken granite and brittle stone. I wonder if the being before me is as cold to the touch. If he really is a vampire, I reckon he will be. He dresses from head to toe in white, shrouded in white, from his fine wool coat to his fur-trimmed cape and soft leather gloves. Even his hair, cascades of gentle curls that frame his face, shines silver, a radiant halo lit from the glow of the lantern he carries in his hand. A true predator, huh? Camouflaged against the snowy night. The other he extends to me. "Are you lost?" he asks again. "I won't hurt you. I'll see you to safety, I promise." You're gonna keep me safe for the rest of my life, however short that may be? The sound of his voice makes all the worry in the world melt away. It is so musical, so warm and calming, like liquid honey. It takes all my will not to take his hand and offer all at once. Okay, so if I'm honestly trying to stab this guy, I don't want to come off as too aggressive, right? I mean, if I just let him feel like I'm harmless, it adds more opportunity for me. So who are you? Who are you, I ask. "Simply a traveller, passing through," he says with the faintest hint of a smile. Soft, gentle, unthreatening. If I were naive, I would take his answer without question at all. But I am not. Here, alone in the woods at night. "I could ask the same of you, demoiselle. Why ever did you wander here?" "I was searching for something." "Whatever it might be, you've come far. The nearest village is hours away. Have you a place to shelter for the night?" No, I say as I quiver. as I fill my voice with the trembling of a lost, vulnerable thing. Lead me away. You have nothing to fear and everything to gain. Please, come with me. I'm sojourning not far from here. You can share my fire and stay the night in safety. I suppose I can't refuse such a kind offer, I reply, letting relief wash over my words. Show me your true face. Show me your fangs. Then please, good sir, lead the way. With his free hand, he offers me his arm. I hesitate. Such closeness would avail me to my weapon, but just as easily put me at his mercy. How quickly could he strike back? With what strength could he stop me if I failed? Well, let's face it, I don't think if he's a vampire we've got any chance of overpowering him regardless. So just playing along and hopefully getting him unaware is probably going to be our best offer. To take his arm. I reach for his outstretched hand. My fingers linger on his gloved ones for only a moment before he links his arm through mine, sweeping his cloak around the both of us in one elegant motion. I cannot help but gasp. Forgive me if I startled you. I thought you'd be warmer this way. I'm fine, I stammer, digging my other arm deep into my pockets, gripping my weapon tight. His wool cloak and warm furs around my shoulders does keep away cold. But I feel no warmth from him, no blush across his pallid cheeks, not one breath from his lips fogging in the night air. He smells of incense and pine and, faintly, the metallic tang of iron. I wonder if I've made a mistake. My heart hammers as I walk beside him, its beat an unfamiliar drumming in my chest. Thankfully, he slows his stride to match mine. I take a deep breath and keep myself steady, staying alert as he leads me onward through the trees. It does not seem he will strike me here. I must be patient. I will wait. Might I ask you your name? He says, after we have walked some steps from the clearing. I have worn names like they were ribbons in my hair, dozens of names in all colours and shapes. To give one away now would be a frivolous thing, but names, even false ones, create familiarity, bonds. Oh, so maybe this isn't a personal attack for us. I mean, if we've had many names, maybe we're just like a hired hunter. We could be. Would it be wiser to keep my cards close, heart closed? Now the question would be, does he have a way of telling when we're lying? If he does, saying you may not may be our best option. I'm going to be lying the fact he might not be able to tell, so you may have my name. You may, of course. My name is... apparently we're Michelle in this game. My name is Michelle. Michelle, he repeats, savouring each syllable. That's lovely. He sounds like he means it, like there's a heart that still beats beneath his borrowed skin, that flutters at the sight of goodness and beauty, that thrums at the sound of a maiden's name. And yours? I ask. Gabriel, he smiles. Like the old angels, I murmur. If I were naive, I would wonder if he is old enough to remember the angels from the days long before the mist descended. Before any gods and their icons who watched from above fled, as the undead and unsated plunged the earth into pestilence and death and rot. I would wonder, had he ever plucked an apple from the branches of Elysium, tasted its sweet flesh? But I know better. Like yours, he says with a smile, breaking my thoughts. Were your parents fond of the old tales as well? I know my parents wanted the best for me. I like to think the name they gave me reflected that wish. Wait, Michelle's a biblical name? I mean, I know Michael was, because Michael's another angel, right? I've seen my supernatural. I'm sure they must have. I've always thought that names are a gift from those who treasure us. When I first... Never mind. I wait, but he does not continue. It's not enough. I need more. Show me what lies beneath your skin. Show me the beast that you are. Now that you've asked something of me, I say, I believe it's only fair I ask you a question in turn. Very well then, ask away. I don't feel like his clothes are the most pressing matter in this situation. But then again, if we're going for docile, asking about his clothes may be a better idea than his purpose. Okay, I'm going to try and put him as easy as possible. So ask about his clothes. Your clothes? I've never seen anything like them. Why wear nothing but white in the snow? Oh, a camouflage, of course. I often come to the mountains to hunt. My cloak protects against the cold, of course. But I suppose it also lets me go unseen. Unseen by your victims? But sir, your clothes are too fine for a mere huntsman. You look fit to be, well, if not a prince, then a knight of the Queen's Guard at least. The Queen? There's no queen that rules these lands, unless you speak of the Mist Queen. The Mist Queen, a figure shrouded in fog, in mystery, like her name, whispered around campfires and village squares, in sober tones, in drunken ones, in awe and reverence, but most often in fear. I've seen her knights before, marching in the wilds, their pyres burned on the hillside for days. Do you believe that she's lived since the dawn of time, that she bathes in the blood of virgins to keep her beauty? Not for a moment. I laugh. You speak as if you know her. Would you be afraid if I did? If I were a servant of the Queen? Well, that throws out my theory that we might be the Queen. No, I don't reckon I would fear you. If I don't fear the fact you're a vampire, I'm not going to fear the fact you know the Queen. I would call you a spinner of tall tales, good sir. I can scarcely believe she's an immortal after all. Who can remember a time before the mist fell? Who can say whether the undying still walk this earth? Yet, if you were only a servant, merely a pawn, I would think her unfit to be queen of anything at all. How poor her sense of virtue is. You believe me to be virtuous? Well, here you are, helping a poor lost damsel in the snow. I laugh. It's only human to help others in need. Ah, are you trying to hold on to your last shreds of humanity then? I mean, that and I'm probably going to be your dinner. I shake my head. Some would disagree. Some would seek an advantage over others. That is human nature, my hunter. In any case, there is something gentle about you. I cannot think to place you among her scores of blood-soaked knights. He looks at me for a long time. I wonder if I have said too much. You're a strange girl. A strange, bold girl. A girl? I'm well past 20 summers, but do not think to ask how many, gentle hunter.
I shall not. Have you a family then?
I did, though I was a stranger to them at first. They welcomed me into their home and became just like family to me. I loved them very much. But those days are gone now. He gives me a look of sympathy.
Oh, maybe my original thought was right and he did kill our family. I'm so sorry. I'm like you. I once had a wife and son, but plague took them from me.
I'm sorry for your loss.
I consider what to say next.
Would it be nice if we asked about his family so he can remember the good times? It might be. If I may ask, how did you meet your wife?
I wasn't always a hunter. Once, I was a young doctor in a small countryside town. She was my first patient. She'd injured her leg trying to rescue a lost sheep and was so embarrassed she was rather unkind to me while I treated her. She warmed to me eventually, and I grew to love her stubbornness.
A pained look flashes beneath his emerald eye. It hurts me more than I expected to hear him speak of her in those words, with that tenderness. Why did I ask? I'm sorry that you lost her, I say weakly.
Wait, did we know his wife?
He does not reply for some time.
I miss her dearly. I miss everyone from that life. But it was a long time ago now.
Even the wind is silent as we walk, the crunching of our footsteps the only sound in the night. It's a relief when he turns the conversation away.
I've spoken enough of unpleasant matters. Tell me something about you. What do you enjoy?
I mean, we might enjoy needlework. Maybe we made our own cloak. I'm skilled with a needle, if I might say so.
Your clothing. Did you make these?
I did. I embroidered them as well.
I feel his gaze run over the moons and flowers stitched into my clothes, and feel a sudden warmth creep through my skin
to be the object of his stare.
It truly is lovely work. I feel I could live a dozen lifetimes and never hope to match your skill.
I laugh. You don't need lifetimes for it. It only takes patience and a willingness to persist, even if you'll accidentally stab yourself countless times.
What would you do if you had lifetimes? If you could walk the earth without fear of death or aging?
I mean, let's face it, I would spend my time watching horrors and playing horrors and having fun with horrors. I'm a one-track person. So would that technically be I would learn all that I can? Oh, I've had all the time in the world. I'd want to go and learn all the horror folk stories from the different countries so I can learn what monsters they create. That's what I would do if I had more time. So I would learn all that I could. I'd gain all the knowledge I could, then share it with all, that all people could live in peace, that the countless concerns that mar us throughout time could be ended.
A noble but impossible dream, that any one person could end all tragedy, solve all obstacles, mediate every conflict. Well, Michelle's goal was definitely more noble than mine. Mine was simply to enjoy every horror, so maybe I'm not so noble.
I would find others who shared that dream, and with them, build the world I desire.
But you, as the holder of that knowledge and desire, would stand alone. A new god risen above your followers.
That would put us in a dangerous position. Like, if we have all knowledge, let's face it, we're going to get to the point where we think we know best and that we should mediate what knowledge we share and what we don't. In which case, yeah, we're just putting ourselves in the position of power, and it's not really going to be a free world then, is it? Like you said, we'll be placing ourselves above the followers.
And how would you rule your subjects? Forgive me, I've burdened us with heavy topics again. But I thank you for your insights.
Of course, gentle hunter. I search my mind for another question, another distraction, when suddenly a howl, long and low, cuts through the night.
Wolves. Stay calm,
He says in a hushed tone, folding his cloak around me as I clutch his arm. I did not realize I'd gripped him so tightly. I am calm. I should be calm. But the fear that I feel, it isn't mine. It runs beneath my skin like a rapid, coursing river. It twists inside the cage of my chest. I will my pulse to slow, but it does not. My mind cannot quell the instincts of a living heart. The howls grow louder, closer. I can feel them ringing in my ears.
Your scent is too strong,
I hear him mutter. He searches through his coat for something, a small pouch, then pours its contents over the lantern. The flame burns brighter as a thick, earthy scent fills the air. It smells of ash and smoke, iron and dust.
This way,
he says, leading me by arm. Is this because I cut my arm open?
Whoops.
We come to a large pine, its ancient trunk at least 3 grown men wide. With a firm but not ungentle motion, he presses me against its trunk, sweeping his cloak around us. I feel the rough bark on my back, through the wool of my cape, feel his arms around my shoulders, holding me tight. It takes all my will not to struggle, not to scream.
It's all right,
he says, melodious, soothing, a shepherd calling to a lamb.
This will hide your scent. Listen to my voice. Hold on just a little longer.
This close, I could hear his heart beat beneath his chest. If only he had one. I could burn beneath his arms. If only they were not so cold, cold to the bone. We stand there for what feels like eternity, before the howls grow silent, and the only voice left on the wind is the whisper of the trees. I break free of him as soon as he lets me go, shaking. Too close. Not yet. Not here.
Forgive me. It's not far ahead now. Can you walk the rest of the way?
I'm fine, I say, steadying myself, fighting to quiver in my voice. Onward I follow as he leads me through the trees. The cottage comes into view as we turn the bend, almost as if conjured from the mist itself. It is a small, quaint thing, a lonely, strange thing to see, placed there like it was plucked from a fairy story. Its wooden walls are aged but sturdy, its sloping roof coated in fresh snow. It should be the home of a living, breathing woodsman, not a creature of the night. I had never guessed you would hide yourself in a place like this. It's beautiful, I say.
It's the only place in the world I feel truly safe.
Its heavy door creaks open as he leads me inside. The cottage is small, with short square windows and low walls, but appears well kept. A solitary home. Strings of dried herbs and fruit Mint horsetail apples hang from the ceiling. A table and stool sit in its center, stacked with clay pots and metal bowls. A stone hearth covers one wall. A narrow bed lined with furs sits against the other. A bookshelf, filled with a dozen or so well-worn tomes, stands proudly in the corner, even as it teeters beneath jars of more herbs and flowers. The scent of incense, sweet and heady, fills my nose as he lights the kindling in the hearth. The embers cast his skin aglow, his silver curls and pallid features painted softly in warm light. He unfastens his long, snow-white cloak and tosses it onto the stool. Carefully, slowly, I slip my hands free from my sheepskin gloves. I feel his gaze, his green eye watching me as I unravel my shawl from my pale throat. My fingers, still numb from the cold, fumble with a clasp on my cape.
May I?
He asks, stepping towards me. I nod, shaking. Maybe this is the perfect time to try and stab him. I mean, if he's focused on trying to get our cloak open. His hands, even gloved, are deft, swift, a surgeon's hands. They free my shoulders of the deep red wool, set the fabric aside on the narrow bed. His gloved hands lingers near my collar. I do not move an inch. I scarcely breathe. Show me your true self. Show me what you are. He brushes my cheek, a whisper of a touch, like he is afraid to hold me, like I am a statue that could crumble beneath his fingers.
May I?
He asks again, barely audible. Yes, I whisper back. He brushes a lock of my dark hair behind my ear, then gently, slowly, brings his lips to my skin. They are so soft. His touch is like the snow that lands on my face, carried by the winter wind. Cold, but light, feather light on my cheek, gentle. Far too gentle. I don't want this delicate tenderness from him. I am not a fragile thing.
Well, how very forward of you, Buddy. Still, maybe now's a good time to stab him. What was if we stabbed him and it turns out he's not a vampire?
I fold my hands around his neck, feel the downy softness of his hair as I slip my fingers through his ashen strands. He wraps me in his arms, holds me tightly, kisses my hair, trails his lips down my neck. I shiver. I tremble against him as his gloved hands run through my tresses, down my spine, feeling for the laces of my bodice.
I thought we wanted to kill this guy.
He pushes me gently onto the furs, turns me onto my stomach as he parts my hair.
Found you, my queen.
I yelp as he pulls my hair sharply back from my head. Tears bead in my eyes as his hand presses against my skull. He holds me still as I thrash beneath him, traces with his fingertips that mark on my skin I'd forgotten lay at the base of my neck.
Wait, do we actually know this guy? I mean, who are we? Am I his wife? Does he for some reason think I'm dead but I'm not and doesn't recognize me? Maybe I really am the queen.
The crooked crescent moon that I'd carved into my flesh with a sharp iron knife.
Might I humbly ask you, O Lady of Moonlight?
He whispers softly into my ear. The fire crackles and roars, casting flickering shadows around us, but I feel nothing but ice run through my veins. There is no hunger in his voice, no warmth, no desire, only white, cold fury.
Why, exactly, did you follow me here Celine.
God damn, you had to end it there. Okay, I'm gonna hopefully see if we can find any more details from the other choices. So we're not gonna draw blood. Let's just sing this time. So call to it I do. I close my eyes and take a deep breath, and then I raise my voice to song. My unfamiliar tongue savors each word of the well-worn tune. The Mist Queen, wrapped in fog, how softly does she go, with a silver veil round her head that shines like fallen snow. I shiver now to look at her, in moonshine lit glow. But before I can continue to the second verse, a sudden sound echoes in the distance. I turn. No longer do I hear the wind through the trees, the hooting of an owl, or the scurrying of a squirrel. It is as if the world has gone completely silent and still. Well then, sir, I'm not lost. I'm not lost, I say.
Then pray tell, why are you alone here at night?
I could ask the same of you, stranger, I declare, boldly, though I leave a trace of hesitation in my voice, a tremble as I shiver in the cold. I am an innocent, vulnerable thing, hiding my fears, but you can smell them, taste them, can't you?
I'm simply a traveler passing through. I never thought I'd come across another soul here, but then I heard your song. And what a lovely voice you have, demoiselle. His smile is as warm as sunlight, gentle, disarming, kind. Were I naive, I'd take his answer without question. But I am not.
Do you not fear the woods, the wolves?
I've wandered through places far more dangerous than this. The trees almost seem peaceful, don't they?
The branches bend in the wind as the snow swirls softly. You have courage indeed, good traveller.
And what of you? Have you a place to shelter? The nearest village is hours away.
I trail off with a quiver, a tone of reluctance. I am a trembling lamb, looking for her shepherd.
Please, come with me. I'm sojourning not far from here. You can share my fire and stay the night in safety.
I suppose I can't refuse such a kind offer, I reply, letting relief wash over my words. I can walk just fine, I stammer.
As you wish,
he says, withdrawing his arm.
No disappointment colours his tone, ever even and warm.
Gently, he beckons me to follow the path he approached from. The wind swirls around us as we walk, my footsteps following the imprints of his boots in the fallen snow. His form from behind is radiant, almost aglow with silver moonlight. The strands of his hair shimmer as he walks. His cape, snow white, trails behind him like a shroud. He stops every now and then to check that I still follow. Each time, he gives me a nod or a small smile of encouragement. Every stare from that deep green eye makes my heart thud in my chest. I grip my sharpened point tightly within my pockets. The motion is not suspicious. It is cold tonight, a cold I so rarely feel, soaking through the thin wool of my cape and shawl. How warm his cloak and furs look, yet never does the breath of his lips fog the night air. I'm not sure he breathes at all. I pull my rules tighter around my shoulders. It does not seem he will strike me yet. I must stay alert, ready for whenever or whatever he lures me to. So I was thinking with the whole giving him our name, what was it we do? Then we give him
Her actual name. So Celine, right?
No, not that name.
Oh, we just refused to give it him. Alright, I'll be Meek again then.
My name is Meek.
My parents were fond of the old tales, both of them for different reasons, he says with a wistful smile.
What reasons?
My father valued the strength of divinity. My mother valued their tales of virtue. A name can be a gift, and I treasure mine, and I treasure their memory.
You must miss them.
I do, he replies softly. Come then, tell me what your purpose here is.
You said you were a traveller, but why here? Why these mountains? This forest?
I often come to these mountains to hunt. I love the air here, the pristine wilderness.
Of course you would, you wild thing. But sir, your clothes are too fine for a mere huntsman.
Oh, regardless of what we pick, we always circle back to the clothes. I've changed my answer. I would indeed be scared if you served the queen.
They say she does not harm the innocent, but can a mist walker be trusted? They are not of our kind. Their undeath, the centuries they've walked upon this earth, surely it changes them, and their appetites.
You believe they are not human, and you would be correct. But you have nothing to fear, demoiselle. Her castle lies far, far from the mountains. She will not find us here.
Sweet lies, from a sweeter tongue. In any case, there is something gentle about you.
Okay, ask about his past. See if we can learn anything about our connection.
Have you always been a hunter?
No. In fact, for much of my life, I hated the thought of harming anything, be it man or animal. My tale is truly a dull one, demoiselle.
We have nothing but time.
I wait for him to continue as we walk. My father was a knight at arms, but he died without land or fortune. I was very young, and so my mother was left to raise me alone in a humble countryside town. I knew from an early age I didn't want to live a martial life like my father, so I apprenticed to be a healer, then studied medicine as a young man. Eventually, I returned to that small town, met and married a shepherdess with the loveliest voice in the world, and spent my days treating coughs and fevers, making poultices and tisanes, mending wounds.
Until the plague, I finish.
He is silent for some time. Maybe I really am his wife. Wouldn't that make us just as old as he is? Am I a vampire as well? It was a horrible, cruel thing to call. A sickness would be to call the ocean a mere pool. Or a lake as it was. It did not spare any of its victims. It turned healthy, smiling folk into dying husks within days. I tried to save them.
You did all you could. I can't imagine how awful it must have been.
I lost myself for a time, and after that, I found I could not return to the healing arts. I could not mend another bone, touch another skin, without feeling the rot beneath my fingertips.
That's terrible. I'm sorry.
Even the wind is silent as we walk, the crunching of our footsteps the only sound in the night. You know what? Forget about needlework. I enjoy singing.
I love songs. When I sing, I never truly feel alone.
And you have talent for it indeed.
He looks about to speak, but hesitates.
Are you often lonely?
I'm quite used to it. Solitude is like an old friend to me now.
Sometimes I wonder, is it better to be alone or to spend your life with someone you cannot give your heart to?
Both of those sound lonely.
A wise man would seek a third route, but what if you had no other option? What if fate had tied you together like roots intertwined?
See, the problem is like, if we know for a fact we would never be able to grow to love them, it feels almost cruel to remain by their side. I mean, they could go off and find someone else they could be truly happy with. Then again, if they're in the same boat as us and they knew they could never truly love us and we were both in agreement, then we would just coexist, then sure, we could learn to grow beside each other. I would spend my days in solitude. I suppose that the loneliness surrounded by others is more painful than true solitude. That a life alone would be the lesser torture. But that is a fate I wish upon no one, even were it hopeless. I would fight to change it.
Forgive me, I've burdened us with heavy topics again.
Without thinking, I step closer to him, only realizing what I've done when he reaches out and takes hold of my hand. Oh, I guess it really was the blood that drew the wolves in. He pulls me close towards him, throws his cloak over my shoulders. His hold on my arm is firm, but not tight.
Stay close to me. This will mask your scent,
he says, pulling his cloak tighter around us. His voice is soft and melodious, the song of a shepherd coaxing a lamb from the maw of one beast to another. This fear I feel isn't mine. It isn't mine, but it runs beneath my skin like a rapid coursing river. My mind cannot quell the instincts of a living heart, but I must overcome it. I keep alert for any sudden movement from him, but he makes none.
It's all right to be frightened. It's only natural. But you won't come to harm, I promise.
The same way a mouse is safe from the strike when the eagle is near. We stay that way, standing still in the shadows of the pines as the howls echo through the night, billow on the wind.
Oh, maybe we are being attacked by wolves again.
I keep alert for yellow eyes peering from the darkness, but none appear. Perhaps the wolves, too, sense him and know better than to strike. Out of instinct, I feel myself start to hum, a habit I never grew from, even when I no longer needed to calm my resting heart. I wish the pounding in my chest would still and turn to stone within its cage.
Go on,
he says, gentle, coaxing.
Sing. Let your worries wash away.
I take a deep breath, and then I sing. Misty-eyed, her eyes were bright. Her hands were misty too. Her skin was pale and as white as milk. Dark hair were wet with dew. Her gown was not made of silk, but willow branch and yew. By the river's bend, how still she stood, as pale shadows bloomed. How black that night, save silvery light of distant star and moon. By the time I have finished the verse, the howls have stopped. The only voice on the wind in the whisper of the thin branches, whistling through the wood. I quickly let go of his hand.
Too close.
Not yet. Not here.
It's not far ahead now. Can you walk the rest of the way?
I'm fine. Onward. I follow as he leads me through the trees. I shiver. I tremble against him as his gloved hands runs through my tresses, down my spine. feeling for the laces on my bodice. He pushes me gently onto the furs, turns me onto my side. His hand slowly reaches down my skirt, tracing my thigh. He knows about our weapon, doesn't he?
Found you,
he says, pulling the wooden stake from my petticoats. I knew it! I yelp, struggling to break free of his grip, but he holds me effortlessly as I thrash atop the furs. I cry as he pulls a long red ribbon from my hair, and with it binds my wrists behind me. I squirm and twist until I am facing him. A beam from the window casts his face with cold, ashen moonlight as I watch him toss the useless piece of wood into the hearth. Shadows from the roaring flame flicker over his pallid features as the wood blackens and burns. There is no hunger in that deep green eye, no warmth, no desire, only white, cold fury.
I believe it's my turn to ask, he says softly, bending towards my ear. What exactly were you doing in these woods, Meek?
I'm so curious why he didn't recognize us, since we clearly seem to know him personally, right? Maybe we really are his wife. If you enjoyed your time here, I'd really appreciate if you like this video and subscribe to this channel. But other than that, you've spooked in, and catch you next time, guys.